like to identify puzzles scientifically.
What drives us at the high level is all curiosity.
There's something very satisfying about solving a problem. It's what makes me tick.
I think it's a very natural instinct to want to explore. In the Division of Physical Sciences, we try to understand the natural world. We try to understand the formation and evolution of Earth-like planets by looking at how they move and how they spin.
We're here on this tiny little rock, and we get to look out on this vast universe. And in my group, we develop tools for taking raw data and converting that into science. And developing that tool set allows you to be on the cutting edge. And we're able to somehow put together things that are so much larger than we are.
Our heroes are the people who found something wrong with the currently accepted beliefs, right? Creativity is the thing that's most valued in science. I'm at the extreme of what people call curiosity-driven research. At CERN is a tunnel that's 16 miles in circumference. So I'm hoping to find new forces in nature. We are recreating the conditions that existed in the universe a billionth of a second after the Big Bang.
My research focuses on developing tools that can be used to better understand climate change. Trying to understand how much different regions on the planet are going to warm, understand how the water cycle is going to be impacted, and understand how marine ecosystems might be impacted by ocean acidification. I am interested in making sure that I can grow old comfortably, that other people have access to the same things.
Earth is my favorite planet. There are billions of Earth-like planets in our galaxy. We'd like to understand how we ended up with this beautiful planet that can sustain life.
It is important to constantly challenge, actually, the very premises for what you believe. Dogmas can sometimes get in the way of scientific progress.
Being kind of simultaneously full of wonder about nature and wanting to discover new things, and at the same time being kind of ruthlessly skeptical of any claim about something wondrous.
Look at the evidence and don't necessarily believe what everyone else has to say about it. That's what scientists are supposed to do.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to UCLA. And welcome to Physical Sciences. I think it's finally working. So my name is Miguel Garcia Garibay. I am the Dean of Physical Sciences. I'm also a professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. I am an organic chemist, and I have a research group that works on the development of smart materials and molecular machines. And I, like everyone else, is very excited to have you join UCLA. I am joined today by several physical sciences faculty, physical sciences alumni from all of our departments. I'd like to shout out to the faculty in residence who are, I think, standing in the back. So they're your neighbors if you're staying in the Hill. And they are Mike Hill, Sriko Suri, Mike's there. Sriko Suri is standing in the back, and Anil Garg. So, you know, they represent the faculty in the physical sciences here in the Hill. We are also joined today by several midstream undergraduate students who are eager to help you out. They are learning assistants who will be working with you, especially in lower division courses. You will recognize them because they will be wearing the physical sciences t-shirt. So you'll see, some of them are in the back. There they are. We have faculty, alumni, and students from atmospheric and oceanic sciences, chemistry and biochemistry, earth, planetary, and space sciences, mathematics, physics and astronomy, and statistics. Those are our departments. Those are your departments. You will recognize us because we have these big name tags or smaller name tags that will have our departments, our name, our department name. So please come and talk to us at the end. We are all here to welcome you as one of us. So now you are a member of the Division of Physical Sciences and our departments here at UCLA. We want to congratulate you for your accomplishments and to share with you some of the thoughts that will help you make the most of your time and education at UCLA. We firmly believe that you can all succeed, and it is our goal to provide you with the support and resources necessary for this success. At our reception across the lobby, after this discussion, every one of you will receive a very nice physical sciences t-shirt and a raffle ticket. If you are lucky, you may win a physical sciences water bottle or a $75 gift that you can use at the UCLA store. I would like to mention that these gifts and many events and things that happen in our campus, in your departments, are made possible by the generosity of many of our alumni who really also want you to have a really great experience here at UCLA. So, in fact, we have 12 of our alumni in attendance today, and you can find information about them in your program. I would like to briefly welcome each of them by calling their names and asking them to come to the stage as I do so. First, we have Demetri Brisolis, class of 1967, Department of Mathematics. Demetri, please. Demetri is an entrepreneur. He is the president of Dabco Industries. We also have with us Serena Trandai, class of 2001, Chemistry and Biochemistry. She is the Director of Research and Development at Award Products. Steve Dumas, class of 1976 from the Department of Earth, Planetary, and Space Sciences. He is a dentist and has a private practice. Elizabeth Frank, class of 2012, Statistics. She is a business analyst manager at Education Management Systems. David Hubbard, class of 2003, Mathematics. He is a senior data analyst at Netflix. Laura Merchant, class of 2010, from Physics and Astronomy. She's an electrical engineer at ME Engineers. Kevin Ogilvy, class of 2011, Chemistry and Biochemistry. He's an entrepreneur. He is the co-owner of Progress Brewery. Jose Rodriguez, class of 2007, Physics and Astronomy. He's now an assistant professor at the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry here at UCLA. Don Tamura, class of 1980, from Chemistry and Biochemistry. Don is now the Deputy District Attorney at Los Angeles County. Ashwin Basavara, class of 1992, Earth, Planetary, and Space Sciences. He's a scientist at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Claire Wong, class of 2014 from Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences. She works on data analytics at Cal State Northridge. And finally, we have Brittany Miles, class of 2016. She is a graduate of the Department of Physics and Astronomy, and as the most recent graduate alumnus of our panel, Brittany has kindly agreed to moderate the panel discussion today. Brittany will ask each panelist a question addressing values and experiences that were important to their success at UCLA and beyond. Since we only have 30 minutes to get all 12 panelists, we're limiting panelists to about a 2-minute response, and Lisa Garibay will help us keep the time. Lisa's standing here. After Brittany has given each panelist a chance to respond to her question, we will have time for a few questions from the audience. You can submit those questions online using the URL shown on the screen, and we'll select questions to post to the panels. You will see the URL soon. Following the question and answer period, Shanna Shaquette will take you through a brief internet writing activity in which you will reflect on such things as values for success and study skills. Where's Shanna? Right here. There she is. Shanna's in the back. Then we'll go across the lobby for the reception and giveaways. That's when you get your t-shirt and hopefully you get an award. So I'm going to invite Brittany now to start the panel discussion. So Brittany, I'm going to give this microphone to you.
So thank you, Miguel. I'm going to get situated real quick. All right, so good afternoon, New Bruins. It's nice to see you all here. We've invited these amazing panelists here to share their experiences in the physical sciences at UCLA. They're going to share some challenges they faced and how they dealt with them, so you feel like you're prepared to attack these challenges as you're during your time as an undergraduate. Sorry. Woo. Okay. Thank you. So you feel prepared to attack the challenges you may face as an undergrad here at UCLA. Just know you're not alone and you have the resources and people here to support you. So, first questions. Raise your hand if you've ever changed your major, people on the panels. All right. Raise your hand if you ever dropped a class. Raise your hand if you've ever struggled in a class. So, just know that it's okay to struggle and you can end up as successful as the people standing in front of you. And you all wouldn't be here if you weren't qualified to succeed in this program. All right, so let's start out probing their experiences. So a lot of first years here may feel far from their home family and communities. Jose, can you speak to how family and community played a role in your success as a physical science student?
Hi everyone. First of all, congratulations on being here. I want to say that my family plays an important role. So I'm not originally from Los Angeles, but I've been here a very long time. In fact, I've been a Bruin now for over 10 years. So I did my undergrad here, I did grad school here, and now I'm a professor here. So I'm very lucky to be part of the Bruin family all these years. And I'm lucky to have the support of my family that lives locally. And so that means that whenever there's a birthday, I get to go home, and I don't miss class because of doing that. Whenever there's a problem at home, I can, phone in or I can go and visit. And so I think that luxury isn't always there for all of us. But I hope that when you're here, you feel like we're all family. So you don't have to live 30 minutes or an hour away from your parents to be able to have a community here. And I think now, as I've grown in the Bruin family, I feel like I have two families. I have my family that's at home, and I have my family that's here on campus. And I welcome you to the Bruin family.
So it sounds like you had a lot of support here at UCLA. So some incoming students may be concerned about competition or not feeling smart enough. I felt that way too. David, can you speak a little bit about your experience with that?
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, so when I showed up at UCLA, I guess I felt somewhat even outgunned from a preparation perspective. And, a couple of things that, I think are really important are just kind of determination and curiosity. And so I was...
David, can you move it closer?
Oh, sure. So I was really determined to succeed, and so I sort of buttoned down and studied really hard to try and get myself up to the level of my peers. But what I came to realize was that something that was really great was just all the smart people around me, and just how determined and also successful they were, and that really sort of enriched my experience.
That's a really good point. It's important to value the skills other people bring and also value what you bring to the table. So, Elizabeth, I understand that you're particularly driven by a goal to support your community. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so in high school, I had done a lot of volunteer work, and something that I was able to get into while at UCLA was one of the mentorship programs. And between the statistics department and the mentorship program, I really found a home away from home. I was coming from across the country to school here, and I really wanted to be able to see my opportunities paid back by supporting the community here. So I got to go in and work with at-risk youth in Little Tokyo and Echo Park and help them with getting through high school to graduation and then hopefully to college. And we actually had the 20th reunion, 20 years of champs being around at UCLA this summer, and got to go back and see some of the kids and hear that they're in college, they're working, they're doing bigger and better things than they ever had dreamed. And that sort of stemmed from them just having someone they say they believe in them. So it's really simple, and UCLA has a lot of different ways to give back. And you can also find your own family and support system through those groups too. And I now work with at-risk youth in my job, working with charter schools, and from a data side, trying to help and support these students and get them what they need.
Thank you. So Elizabeth, again, I've read that you found a home community at the statistics department while you're here at UCLA. Can you elaborate on how you developed that community and sense of belonging here?
Yeah. So I actually started out as a chemistry major, and I took a statistics class, and then I wanted to take more statistics classes, and I ended up switching my major. And the professors were some of the most welcoming professors I found on campus, and really encouraged us to go to their office hours, and were really approachable. And one of the things I wish I'd done was starting going to office hours sooner and getting to know my professors. And then my classmates, I think I was in a pretty unique group of classmates, and I was really lucky to have them. And we started taking over the graduate student lounge, and they had to give us a room for us to hang out in. But I found a lot of support through these classmates, and some of them are still my best friends today.
So Elizabeth's point about finding a community amongst your peers, I encourage you all to do that. So today you guys had the activities fair, and so you had the chance to kind of feel out new student groups before you get in the heat of classes. Being a part of a solid group of students was very important for me, getting acclimated to not only the physics department, but Earth and Planetary Science, because feeling self-doubt can bear a lot on your emotional well-being, so it's important to have people to fall back to tell you, like, it's okay, you can do this. It was especially important to me, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman, to have people assert that I deserve to be here and I can succeed. So I hope you all find communities that have your back while you support others as well. All right, we can't forget the transfer experience. So Serena, I imagine you may have experienced some challenges in feeling that you belong here at UCLA. Can you also share some of those with the crowd today?
Well, being a transfer student, it was difficult because coming in, it felt like the students that had started as freshmen had already met their friends and kind of established their own niche. So, and plus living off campus, I kind of felt like it was hard to kind of find my own group. And I had friends from before I transferred, but some had transferred to different colleges. And so it was difficult trying to find my own group. And it wasn't until I started being more active in some of the different clubs on campus. So I became a member of the BSU, the Vietnamese Student Association. And I just started doing more activities and just kind of being more involved. And that's when I kind of felt like, as some of the other alumni had mentioned, a sense of community and really kind of feeling like I belonged on campus, and just having a group that to hang out with and study with. I think that really helped a lot.
Thank you. All right, so Dimitri, I understand you lived off campus and have strong ties on campus communities just with not just only with the sciences, but overall? How did you accomplish this?
It wasn't easy. First of all, I suggest, I don't know how many of you here live on campus, on a dorm versus off campus, but I did not have the luxury of living on campus, so it was a little bit more difficult for me. Most of my friends were not students. I made friends after I was here for a while, but if you live in a dormitory, my son went to school here also, so he lived in a dormitory and had a great experience. So get as much as you can from your dorm experience. So what I did to try to get acclimated and meet people, I made a point of going to North Campus. I didn't want to be a science nerd completely, so I made a point every day of going to having lunch on North Campus and try to meet as many of the social science art students that I could. And I was successful. My first girlfriend was an arts major, so it worked out just fine. But try to get involved if you can in clubs. I didn't join any clubs. I was so engrossed in studying and going to lunch on North Campus that I didn't go to clubs. So, but if you can, try to go to clubs. Try to meet people. And UCLA is amazing. It's a microcosm of the world. I mean, every nationality, religion, color, what have you, is here. So take advantage of that.
I will admit, with the exception of the physics and astronomy building, North Campus is a lot nicer than South Campus. All right. So most of us have had doubts about belonging, and one important way to overcome this is having someone to talk to, be it a friend or student support services. We also have CAPS here, keep that in mind. Counseling and psychological services, I think you can get like 3 appointments per quarter, and they also have group sessions as well, and I've relied on it as a Brewing here during my time at UCLA. So Don, can you elaborate on how you dealt with self-doubt and any recommendations you have for others?
I think one of the things is that everybody, whether they're in undergrad or graduate school, gets to a point when you do have this issue of self-doubt that Brittany mentioned. I mean, it starts as something simple. You get a bad grade on the test, you're at your apartment or your dorm room, and it's rainy, you can't go outside, and you call your friend, and they don't pick up, right? And you just want to go back to bed, right? The reality is that everyone, I think, that goes through undergrad or graduate school asks themselves at one point, am I doing the right thing? Is this for me? Is this what I should be doing? And I think that the only way you kind of pull yourself out of that is you've got to do sort of other things to either take your mind off of it and start making that move toward climbing the mountain of getting out of that. I think one of the toughest things is to ask for help. And all of you are here because you've all had success in high school, you've had other success in other areas, maybe athletics, other things. So you've had success in your life. Then you get to a point here where all of a sudden it's a little tougher than it used to be. And not because the subject matter necessarily is tougher, but because there's other kind of factors to it. The time is different. You don't have someone pushing you like your parents. So I think the thing is that when you get into that point, you've got to say, well, I've got to dig down and dig deep to find motivation to get myself out of this. And as I said, if you can't do it yourself, you've got to have friends, people. And I always think, I agree with one of the other speakers that, I had friends, or I had people that I went to school with at chemistry, because I had every quarter a class in Young Hall that never went north of the inverted fountain. Okay, you have to get out there and do something different in this campus. This campus is a wealth of things to do. I like art, so I went to a lot of art things that were in North Campus. A lot of my classmates did intramurals. Just do something different. In fact, if anything, do something different that you've never done before. Because the first thing that does is take your mind off of the situation you're in. The second thing is that then you realize, look, I'm doing something different. I've taken a step towards something new. And then you start that progress to getting to the next level. And then you'll realize that one day the sun comes out, your friend calls you, and then you realize that maybe the approach I've had needs to be altered. I just need to read half of what I had to read. Or I will do something where I'm going to talk to my friends about this, get their input as to how to solve certain things. To use the old chemistry joke, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate, right? The bottom line is your task at UCLA is to be a problem solver, to find solutions. Well, that applies to your goal as a person. You have to find solutions for yourself on a personal level to deal with self-doubt, to deal with competition, to deal with the stress of getting into wherever you're going to go to after this. And all of you have that. But all of you also need to realize that sometimes you just can't do it alone. You have to ask other friends or people. And there are a lot of other services on campus that will help you out to deal with those issues as well.
That's a really good...
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is, it's tough to ask for help. Ask for help.
All right. Thank you, Don. So Claire, as an international student, can you talk about how you fostered a sense of belonging? And can you also share tools for overcoming some of the challenges and frustrations that you face?
Yeah, so I was a transfer student, and I came to the US when I was 17. I remember when I started at UCLA, communication is a big thing for me because my English is not good. I remember trying to talk to my classmate, I think in my statistics class, but nothing related to statistics though. But I was trying to communicate, and then he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, and I repeated again, and then he didn't understand me. And then it was very frustrating. And for me, I think I'm generally pretty friendly, and I don't really care too much about what people think about me. So over time, during class, I did make friends. I think I did started with friends who understand my language first, but then I did expand it out. And once I started to make friends, find people that have common interests, you guys have the same sort of value, maybe people who are having the same kind of goals, in your department, then I think I do started to, friends is a really important part of my life at UCLA. Definitely makes me feel belong more. What else? So, I think definitely, having friends to be your support at your back, and talking to them, you can talk to them with everything. So, and some of my friends actually become really good friends, and I'm actually getting married next week, and I have a friend flying from... Thank you. I have my friends flying from all over the U.S. and also from other parts of the world as well to my wedding. So, make friends. It's key.
Thank you. So all our panelists here face different challenges and also experience a lot of growth during their time at UCLA. Many of you are making it clear that your path was not always linear. Much of life is like that, and filled with failures along the way. So Ashwin, Can you briefly describe your path and talk about how you learned to accept failure and take care of yourself along the way?
Sure, yeah. Y'all are so lucky to be here. Wish I could go back and do it again sometimes. It's nothing but great memories of being a physical science major at UCLA. But it wasn't, maybe, I don't know if I would have put myself back there if I would have said I was so happy at the time, especially the first few years, because it was a little bit of a weird path. I really had not too much of an idea of how to get where I wanted to be when I was growing up. I kind of knew from the time I was 10 years old, I wanted to do something in space. And I wanted to work with those spacecraft that NASA sends out to the different planets. And, you know, spoiler alert, I do that now, yay. But, but I wasn't sure at all how to get there. And so I kind of, without much guidance from my high school, decided aerospace engineering probably was the right idea because it had the word space in it. And so I got to UCLA and I was aerospace for the first year and realized that engineering really wasn't how my brain worked, wasn't what I was passionate about. And because even as an engineering major, I had to take physics and chemistry and stuff like that, physics really resonated with me. Just the nuts and bolts of how the natural world works and explaining things by physical laws, and that was just beautiful, you know. Even as an undergrad, I could appreciate that. And so I transferred to physics for the next 2.5 years. And then there was still, of course, that nagging thing where, like, oh, how am I going to connect the dots to flying missions to outer planets? You know, and I wasn't there yet with a physics major because I was learning about quantum physics and whatever, which was interesting, but not quite what I was after. And so then I saw an advert, a little page that someone had put up on the wall for a class about introduction to the solar system. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that class was even taught at UCLA. I didn't even know this Earth and Space, at the time it was called Earth and Space Science, now Earth Planetary Space Science. That department even existed. So I took the class, I signed up the moment you could, and it sort of changed the course of my life. From that class, I started doing research with that professor as an undergraduate, and then got into grad school from that, and that's how I made the way. But I changed majors as a senior, and fortunately there was a lot of class overlap, so it only took me 4.5 years to finish, even with that late switch, but it wasn't a straight path.
Thank you. All right, I think we're a little behind schedule right now, just a little bit. So I just want to encourage all the panelists to kind of keep it short and sweet for the remainder of the session. So next, I wanted to ask Steve a question. So you started out in geology, but you're now a dentist. Can you share more details about this transformation?
Okay. Right now you hear about kids graduating from college not finding jobs. That ain't new. In 1976, when I was getting ready to graduate with my degree in geology, we thought that we would have a golden opportunity because of the oil embargo and everything going on. Domestic oil was going to be big time and we were all going to have jobs. No. So about a year prior to that, I had a toothache. And I went to the dentist and he was asking me why I didn't want to be a dentist. And because I had interviewed him in high school about being a dentist. So I told him I didn't want to go all those years to school. And now it was looking like I was going to have to get a PhD to have a job in geology, so I decided, well, maybe that's not so bad. And then I had to take the same classes for my geology major that were prerequisites for dental school. So geology became number 2 and dentistry became number 1. Now, what I didn't plan on was in 1980, when I got my degree in dentistry, that also was no jobs. And everybody told me I missed the boat by 10 years. Interestingly enough, they're now telling the graduates out of dental school that they missed the boat by 10 years, and I'm sitting around trying to figure out what boat did I not see. So my advice to you is do something that you will enjoy, and I am very fortunate. I do love both geology and dentistry. I've become reacquainted in geology by going backpacking with my kids, and I'm at the end of my career in dentistry, and I'm very involved with the California Dental Association and the Dental Board and doing all kinds of things like that. And I have had by total accident, a very good career.
Thank you. All right, so we have another panelist with an interesting transformation over their life. So, Kevin, can you talk about how your college experience fostered growth that led you to now work at a brewery?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Who here likes beer? That's a trap. The police are on their way. Most of you aren't 21, I'm pretty sure.
UCLA is a wet campus.
Yeah, I definitely did not set out to eventually meander my way into starting a brewery from the ground up. You might have seen my hand earlier, never changed majors. I was chemistry all the way. Did undergraduate research, which I can't highly recommend enough. Everyone should do it. And you guys are young, so you should do it now because you get a whole lot more time in there. It's a rewarding, enriching experience. Working hard on that got me my first job, and then I quit that and started a brewery with a previous coworker. So even though you can be so driven and like focused on absolutely like I need to do this to get to the next step, I gotta get an A in this class so I can enroll in this one next spring, and all of this like Sisyphean rolling the boulder up to get to exactly where you want to go. Sometimes you get there and realize still don't exactly want to do that, and you can take a left field, and that's entirely okay. So I think that's where I'm at there.
All right, so Laura, sometimes when students start out at UCLA, they feel intimidated by their professors, even though they're so nice. How did you overcome that fear, and what did you gain from that?
So I got to UCLA, and I felt like pretty good about my ability to do well in classes, because high school, I felt like I had done well. And when I got here my first quarter, I took my first midterm, and I think I studied for it for like an hour and a half. And I got a C, and I'd never gotten a C before in high school, so I really freaked out. And I was like, okay, what do I do with this? This is a really bad grade, and I don't want my final grade to be a C. So I discovered professors' office hours. And when you're applying to college, you hear, oh, you know, big public universities, it's so easy to get lost because you'll have 300 people in your class. It's all about office hours. I spent countless hours with my professors in office hours, and a lot of times people don't show up. So you get an hour and a half, maybe one-on-one or three-on-one with your professor, and they can really show you the concepts that you're not understanding directly instead of from 50 feet away at the front of a lecture hall. So I spent a lot of time in office hours, and I also took advantage of other students that I saw that were doing well in classes. So I remember some upper division physics classes that just I could not wrap my head around them. And then there would be one or two people who could do all of the problems really quickly by themselves and didn't have any issues at all. I sought those students out, and most of the time they were really nice and willing to explain, how to do the problem and help me out. So I think a lot of it is just if you've been successful up until now, and you find that you hit a wall here, it's okay. You just have to be a little bit more aggressive than you may have been in the past, and take the time to seek out the countless people here who can help you with your studies and help you master the concepts that you need to.
Thank you, Laura. That's very valuable advice that you all should keep in mind going forward. All right. So these are student questions, right, Shauna? Yes. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. So this is the first question. Does the bell curve grading system create pressure on classmates to not help each other or even sabotage each other? Who wants to tackle this one first? Okay, Elizabeth?
I actually didn't see much of that at all. It really easily could, and I know they talk about that at some other schools, but at UCLA, I found that, you're sort of competing against yourself more than anything else. You're striving to do your best, and the bell curve will usually end up helping you. Most of the bell curves are pretty generous. They're not like a forced bell where they're gonna fail a bunch of people. So it generally helped you, it couldn't hurt you, and so there was a lot of just working together to everyone do better than they would have otherwise that I found.
Does anyone else want to chime in on that? Okay.
Sure, yeah, I'd echo that. Yeah, I agree. Like, there were lots of fellow students who were more than willing to have like a good study group and sit down and like all share like what we had learned, and we all just got much stronger from doing that sort of thing.
All right, so the next question, how many of you were double majors or had a minor? So just quick show of hands, double majors and minors. Okay. I'm not sure if this was just, you want us to know how many, but can you describe why you picked up a double major and how you managed like the units and things like that?
I didn't have a double major, but I had a minor in, I think the technical title was Central and Eastern European Studies, with an emphasis on Romania, which is more or less because there wasn't a Romanian minor. But I picked it because the great thing about UCLA is there's just such a, I think as everyone echoed here, such a vast wealth of resources and such a broad amount of topics that you can cover that this is one of the few universities where you can study a lot of languages that don't, let's say, aren't offered at most universities. So,
I was a biochemistry and psychology major as a double major. What you in UCLA, when you get a double major, you have to pick one that will be ultimately your degree. So I have a BS, and that's the biochemistry part of it. This is going to sound trivial, but the reason I actually picked having another major was because I came in with so many AP credits when I first came to UCLA. I could have graduated in 3 years, and I didn't want to graduate in 3 years because I really loved this school. I was having a lot of fun. I had a lot of friends, and I looked around at other majors. Psychology had always been interesting to me when I was in high school. In some ways, and well, not in some ways, absolutely, I will tell you as an attorney, I use more psychology than I do use chemistry. So the fact is that I picked up the second major because I was very interested in staying at UCLA, and I was interested in the topic because it was something at some point I thought I would really use, and in some ways I guess I do. So that's the reason why I had a double major.
Nice. Okay. This question is specifically for Don, and I'm glad you elaborated on your double major. Someone asked, why did you ultimately decide on a career very different from your major?
Why did I decide to be an attorney?
Yeah.
Well, I went to somebody who went to high school, college, and law school with me. And he told me, because one time we were talking in law school, and I said, well, I could have been other things. I was a chemistry major. I could have done something else. He said, Don, I always knew you were going to be an attorney when you were in 8th grade. And I said, he said, wow, that's crazy. He said, no, you gave me a book that dealt with, actually a defense attorney. I'm not a defense attorney, but the book dealt with a defense attorney. And he said, I always knew you. I was in debate in high school. I was in a newspaper. He said, I always knew you would be an attorney. Some people say that I guess maybe that was my destiny. But I think one of the things from the panel here that you've already sensed, just being a physical science major doesn't pigeonhole you to being one thing or in one field. You've got to think a little bit outside of the box. Sometimes there's pressure. You need a job, right? Sometimes there's other reasons. You have other interests. Or sometimes it's a pathway to get to the real interest you want, which is doing stuff in space or, doing stuff with that. The key is that your degree is a tool that you're going to use in your future. And if you understand that early on, then you'll understand that, that's what you have to use it as. The hope is that you will enjoy that tool. You will enjoy going to classes. You will enjoy dealing with, achieving a lot in your major. But don't think that just because you're a physical science major, society wants to pigeonhole you. Don't be pigeonholed by society. You've got plenty of opportunities, other experiences, and UCLA gives you lots of them. And you can see in my little bio there, I was an intern in DC, in Sacramento, was at UCLA. I took advantage of those. None of my classmates in science, there were 200 of us that graduated at UCLA in '80, were in the what was called the Expo program back then. But I took advantage of it. And you've already heard other people here have took advantage of lots of other things. Do the same thing.
Thank you, Don. So we're starting to wrap up. You'll be able to talk to all the panelists at a later time. But right now, I'm going to ask everyone on the panel to just give a single word as a piece of advice to all the students. And I'll give you some time. I'll start with myself. And I guess a single word that helped me out, I guess, is just self-care. Dimitri? Yeah. Sorry, that was two. Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I also teach here part-time every fall. Yeah, I don't know how many of you are going to take 31A, but you'll be seeing me on Friday. But anyway, I would say one of the best things here that was mentioned is meet your professor. Do not be intimidated by the faculty. You go meet the professor, talk with them, and the professors here are the best in the world. Learn from them, do not be intimidated, and study hard.
I guess my word would be persistence. Even if you get a bad grade or something doesn't go your way, just keep trying and don't give up, because you never know, maybe if you just keep going, what you're capable of. So that would be my advice.
I just want to emphasize one word.
Okay. Don't quit if you fail.
Balance.
Curiosity.
Have fun.
Endurance.
I was going to say fun, but I'll say hope.
Hey.
Fortitude.
Passion.
It's not one word, but enjoy being a freshman, being a student in college.